Hi, thanks for joining me for another reading through the Bible in chronological order. We are in Jeremiah 38 through 40 plus two Psalms. Now Shephatiah son of Matan, Gedaliah son of Pashur, Jukol son of Shelemiah, and Pashur son of Malchijah heard the words Jeremiah was speaking to all the people. This is what the Lord says. Whoever says in this city will die by the sword, famine, and plague, but whoever surrenders to the Chaldeans will live. He will retain his life like the spoils of war and will live. This is what the Lord says. This city will most certainly be handed over to the king of Babylon's army, and he will capture it. The officials then said to the king, "This man ought to die because he is weakening the morale of the warriors who remain in the city and of all the people by speaking to them in this way. This man is not pursuing the welfare of this people, but their harm." King Zedekiah said, "Here he is. He's in your hands since the king can't do anything against you." So they took Jeremiah and dropped him into the cistern of Malchiah the king's son, which was in the guard's courtyard, lowering Jeremiah with ropes. There was no water in the cistern, only mud, and Jeremiah sank in the mud. But Ebed-melech, a Cushite court official in the king's palace, heard Jeremiah had been put into the cistern. While the king was sitting at the Benjamin gate, Ebed-melech went from the king's palace and spoke to the king. "My lord the king, these men have been evil in all they have done to the prophet Jeremiah. They have dropped him into the cistern where he will die from hunger because there is no more bread in the city." So the king commanded Abimelech the Cushite, "Take here from here 30 men under your authority and pull the prophet Jeremiah up from the cistern before he dies." So Abimelech took the men under his authority and went to the king's palace to a place below the storehouse. From there he took old rags and worn out clothes and lowered them by ropes to Jeremiah in the cistern. Abimelech the Cushite called down to Jeremiah, "Place these old rags and clothes around between your armpits and the ropes." Jeremiah did this. They pulled him up with the ropes and lifted him out of the cistern, but he remained in the guard's courtyard. King Zedekiah sent for the prophet Jeremiah and received him at a third entrance of the Lord's temple. The king said to Jeremiah, "I'm going to ask you something. Don't hide anything from me." Jeremiah replied to Zedekiah, "If I tell you, you will kill me, won't you? Besides, if I give you advice, you won't listen to me anyway." King Zedekiah swore to Jeremiah in private, "As the Lord lives, who has given us this life, I will not kill you or hand you over to these men who intend to take your life." Jeremiah therefore said to Zedekiah, "This is what the Lord, the God of armies, the God of Israel, says. If indeed you surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then you will live. The city will not be burned, and you and your household will survive. But if you do not surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then this city will be handed over to the Chaldeans, and they will burn it, and you yourself will not escape from them." But King Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, "I am worried about the Judeans who have defected to the Chaldeans. They may hand me over to the Judeans to abuse me." Jeremiah replied, "They will not hand you over. Obey the Lord in what I am telling you, so it may go well with you and you can live. But if you refuse to surrender, this is the verdict that the Lord has shown me. All the women who remain in the palace of Judah's king will be brought out to the officials of the king of Babylon and will say to you, 'Your trusted friends misled you and overcame you. Your feet sank into the mire, and they deserted you.' All your wives and children will be brought out to the Chaldeans. You yourself will not escape from them, for you will be seized by the king of Babylon, and this city will burn." Then Zedekiah warned Jeremiah, "Don't let anyone know about this conversation, or you will die. The officials may hear that I have spoken with you and come and demand of you, 'Tell us what you said to the king. Don't hide anything from us, and we won't kill you.' Also, what did the king say to you? If they do, tell them, 'I was bringing before the king my petition that he not return me to the house of Jonathan to die there.'" All the officials did come to Jeremiah, and they questioned him. He reported the exact words to them the king had commanded, and they quit speaking with him because the conversation had not been overheard. Jeremiah remained in the guard's courtyard until the day Jerusalem was captured, and he was there when it happened. Chapter 39. In the ninth year of King Zedekiah of Judah, in the 10th month, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon advanced against Jerusalem with his entire army and laid siege to it. In the 4th month of Zedekiah's 11th year, on the ninth day of the month, the city was broken in two. All the officials of the king of Babylon entered and sat at the middle gate. Nergajaroza, Zamgar, Nebuzarakim, the chief of staff, Nergalesharazar, the chief soothsayer, and all the rest of the officials of Babylon's king. When King Zedekiah of Judah and all the fighting men saw them, they fled. They left the city by night by way of the king's garden through the city gate between the two walls. They left along the route to the Arabah. However, the Chaldean army pursued them and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. They arrested him and brought him to Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon's king, at Riblah in the land of Hamath. The king passed sentence on him there. And Riblah, the king of Babylon, slaughtered Zedekiah's sons before his eyes, and he also slaughtered all Judah's nobles. Then he blinded Zedekiah and put him in bronze chains to take him to Babylon. The Chaldeans next burned down the king's palace and the people's houses and tore down the walls of Jerusalem. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guards, deported the rest of the people to Babylon, those who had remained in the city and those deserters who had defected to him along with the rest of the people who remained. However, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guards, left in the land of Judah some of the poor people who owned nothing, and he gave them vineyards and fields at that time. Speaking through Nebuzaradan, captain of the guards, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon gave orders concerning Jeremiah. Take him and look after him. Don't do him any harm, but do him whatever he says. Nebuzaradan, captain of the guards, Nebushaban, the chief of staff, Nergal-Sharazar, the chief soothsayer, and all the captains of Babylon's king, had Jeremiah brought from the guard's courtyard and turned him over to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, to take him home. So he settled among his own people. Now the word of the Lord had come to Jeremiah when he was confined in the guard's courtyard. Go tell Ebed-Amelech the Cushite, this is what the Lord of armies, the God of Israel, says. I'm about to fulfill my words for disaster and not for good against this city. They will take place before your eyes on that day. But I will rescue you on that day. This is the Lord's declaration, and you will not be handed over to the men you dread. Indeed, I will certainly deliver you so that you do not fall by the sword. Because you have trusted in me, you will retain your life like the spoils of war. This is the Lord's declaration. Chapter 40. And this is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord after Nebuzaradan, captain of the guards, released him at Ramah. When he found him, he was bound in chains with all the exiles of Jerusalem and Judah who were being exiled to Babylon. The captain of the guards took Jeremiah and said to him, The Lord your God decreed this disaster on this place, and the Lord has fulfilled it. He has done just what he decreed. Because you people have sinned against the Lord and have not obeyed him, this thing has happened. Now pay attention. Today I am setting you free from the chains that were on your hands. If it pleases you to come with me to Babylon, come, and I will take care of you. But if it seems wrong to you to come with me to Babylon, go no farther. Look, the whole land is in front of you. Wherever it seems good and right for you to go, go there. When Jeremiah had not yet returned, or not yet turned to go, Nebuzaradan said to him, Return to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon has appointed over the cities of Judah, and stay with him among the people, or go wherever it seems right for you to go. So the captain of the guards gave him a ration and a gift and released him. Jeremiah therefore went to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, at Mizpah, and he stayed with him among the people who remained in the land. All the commanders of the armies that were in the countryside, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, over the land. He had been put in charge of the men, women, and children, among whom the poorest of the land had not yet been deported to Babylon. And so they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. The commanders included Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, Johanan, Jonathan, and sons of Kareah, Sariah, son of Tahumeth, the sons of Ephi, and Netophathite, and Jezaniah, son of Makathite, they and their men. Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, swore an oath to them and their men, assuring them, Don't be afraid to serve the Chaldeans. Live in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it will go well with you. As for me, I am going to live in Mizpah to represent you before the Chaldeans who come to us. As for you, gather wine, summer fruit, and oil, place them in your storage jars, and live in the cities you have captured. When all the Judeans in Moab and among the Ammonites and in Edom and in all other lands has also heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant in Judah and had appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, over them, They all returned from all the places where they had been banished and came to the land of Judah to Gedaliah at Mizpah and harvested a great amount of wine and summer fruit. Meanwhile, Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the armies in the countryside came to Gedaliah at Mizpah and warned him, don't you realize that Baalis, king of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, to kill you? But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, would not believe them. Then Johanan, son of Kareah, suggested to Gedaliah in private at Mizpah, let me go kill Ishmael, son of Nethaniah. No one will know it. Why would he kill you and allow all of Judah that has gathered around you to scatter and the remnant of Judah perish? But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, responded to Johanan, son of Kareah, don't do that. What you're saying about Ishmael is a lie. Psalm 74. Why have you rejected us forever, God? Why does your anger burn against the sheep of your pasture? Remember your congregation, which you purchased long ago and redeemed as the tribe for your own possession. Remember Mount Zion, where you dwell. Make your way to the perpetual ruins, to all that the enemy has destroyed in the sanctuary. Your adversaries roared in the meeting place where you met with us. They set up their emblems as signs. It was like men in a thicket of trees wielding axes, then smashing all the carvings with hatchets and pickets. They set your sanctuary on fire. They utterly desecrated the dwelling place of your name. They said in their hearts, let's oppress them relentlessly. They burned every place throughout the land where God met with us. There are no signs for us to see. There is no longer a prophet, and none of us knows how long this will last. God, how long will the enemy mock? Will the foe insult your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand? Stretch out your right hand and destroy them. God, my King, is from ancient times performing saving acts on the earth. You divided the sea with your strength. You smashed the heads of the sea monsters in the water. You crushed the heads of Leviathan. You fed him to the creatures of the desert. You opened up springs and streams. You dried up ever flowing rivers. The day is yours, also the night. You established the moon and the sun. You set up the boundaries of the earth. You made summer and winter. Remember this, the enemy has mocked the Lord, and a foolish people has insulted your name. Do not give to beasts the life of your dove. Do not forget the lives of your poor people forever. Consider the covenant, for the dark places of the land are full of violence. Do not let the oppressed turn away in shame. Let the poor and needy raise your name. Rise up, God, champion your cause. Remember the insults that fools bring against you all day long. Do not forget the clamor of your adversaries, the tumult of your opponents that goes up constantly. Psalm 79. God, the nations have invaded your inheritance, desecrated your holy temple, and turned Jerusalem into ruins. They gave the corpses of your servants to the birds of the sky for food, the flesh of your faithful ones to the beasts of the earth. They poured out their blood like water all around Jerusalem, and there was no one to bury them. We have become an object of reproach to our neighbors, a source of mockery and ridicule to those around us. How long, O Lord? Will you be angry forever? Will your jealousy keep burning like fire? Pour out your wrath on the nations that don't acknowledge you, on the kingdoms that don't call on your name. For they have devoured Jacob and devastated his homeland. Do not hold past iniquities against us. Let your compassion come to us quickly, for we have become very weak. God of our salvation, help us for the glory of your name. Rescue us and atone for our sins for your name's sake. Why should the nations ask, where is their God? Before our eyes, let vengeance for the shed blood of your servants be known among the nations. Let the groans of the prisoners reach you according to your great power. Preserve those condemned to die. Pay back sevenfold to our neighbors the reproach they have hurled at you, Lord. Then we, your people, the sheep of your pasture, will thank you forever. We will declare your praise to generation after generation. The reading of these two Psalms, connected with Jeremiah's reading, show the absolute despair of the people after Babylon had conquered the city and taken away its captives, leaving only the poor. While there were those who were from Moab and surrounding countries that were Jews that had heard that Gedaliah was put in charge by Babylon of those that remained, and they returned, it still would have been a ragtag group of people, people without much sustenance or means, and certainly people who probably had a, a, a faulty view of God their covenant God. But these Psalms indicate to us, at least, that there were those who saw the despair of the people as something worthy to address God regarding and to plead with God to come to their defense, to help the poor, the psalmist identifies, and the surrounding nations that were trying to oppress. It's clear that this was a dark time in Israel's history, and it would be for uh, two generations at least. And then, even when the people return from Babylon, they will go through a great deal of despair to rebuild what is there. But God will promise to be with them. And that's the point, that sometimes God promises to be with us when we still remain in dark times. The dark times don't suddenly change overnight. And for us, even if you're experiencing those dark times, there is that promise, that sliver of light that shines ahead of you, that God is there to care for you, to protect you, just as He's trying to protect the people in our reading. And providentially, God took care of them. And providentially, God will take care of you. Join me tomorrow for another reading through the Bible in chronological order.